Now I just want to, there are a couple things about the fractured man. He doesn't know how to receive love because he doesn't trust it. And it's not because he doesn't want it, but real love feels a little too still and a little too soft and a little too close. And the too still means he hasn't found sacred masculinity yet, because that's the whole thing, right? It's the stillness. And too soft, that makes sense, I think. And too close, oh, there's no room for getting close. The closest we get is like, you know, score a basket, I might give you a high five, maybe we'll hug if we win a championship. That's close, you know, it's close enough. He'll push away love, or he'll hold it with one hand while self-sabotaging with the other, because deep inside he believes if they really see me, they'll leave. So there's a lot of fear of being seen for the masculine. I had this happen in my own world just in the last 6 months or so. A person was getting too close, and I did not know I could be avoidant. My history has been anxious attachment. Suddenly I found my, what's that?
Anxious attachment? But, like you're anxious, or?
Anxious attachment is a way of saying it's worried, it's kind of clingy, it's like a, don't leave me,
Yeah,
is kind of the anxious attachment. What will I do with myself if you're not there, you know? Which, what I know about my childhood makes a lot of sense, you know? But the avoidant thing runs, it's the opposite. It's like, you get too close, I'm out of here. And so I was given an opportunity to see that avoidant thing that I had never, I guess, identified with before. But someone was able to give me a reflection of myself that was too much of my own self. It was weird. It's like, ooh, we are too close, you know, and I beat it. Running away now.
Do you have a slide for the fractured?
Well, yes. It was just the thing that we already read, actually.
Oh, okay.
So this is just extra commentary at this point
Okay.
about this. So he picks partners based on old pain, not what his soul wants, but the familiar chaos and familiar roles that his pain recognizes. So in my anxious expression, that was me choosing my old pain in people, but not knowing that it was there till it was there. So it's very interesting how the universe, God, source, however you want to say, brings the people that you're still energetically that match of, you know? You can say you don't want that, but they will come and the attraction will be there, and it's the same thing until you level up, which goes back to the I am, the I can, and then the we can, you know? It's like until my energy shifts, I can't expect my relationships to shift.
We need new wedding vows.
That is true.
I first,
Mm-hmm.
I am,
Mm-hmm.
I will,
Mm-hmm.
will you?
There you go.
He struggles with emotional honesty not because he's heartless, but because no one taught him the language of accountability. He feels so much but doesn't know how to talk about it. He never learned how to safely let it out, so he stays silent or explodes or shuts down, and both people feel alone. His trauma shows up in control or avoidance. He might overwork to detach, micromanage, get reactive over little things, not because he's cold, but because he's terrified of losing what he never learned how to hold. He doesn't need shame, he needs a blueprint. Underneath it all, he is still looking for his father, who is emotionally unavailable and is looking for his partner to fill that unmet need.
So where does the narcissist fit into all this?
The
Because that's
narcissist,
a different kind of avoidance, attack thing, so confusing, so overstated,
yeah.
so authoritative.
There's a lot that could be said about the narcissist. We won't spend too much time here, but we just know that a person can be so fractured, so fragmented, that the only thing they can do to hold a sense of security is to keep their eyes on you and do everything they can to hold, control, limit, whatever resource they can receive, they'll just take it. And the whole like methodical thing and the calculation and all of that, it's a sickness beyond measure. It's dangerous, very dangerous. If you have these people in your life, find a safe way to cut them out immediately, because the only way for them to realize the cycle is for their life to fall apart. But if we stay, it's an automatic, you're enabling if you stay. That's just how that works, you know? So they have to be left to themselves. The thing is there are plenty of, so you'll leave, but someone else will be the next fool. Anyway, that's not your problem.
But you're free.
But you're
Yeah.
free. It's not your
Yeah.
problem, you know? Just free yourself. Don't worry about them. You can't save. Yeah, you can't save. That's all. So that was a little bit about myself, my past showings up in the world, and if we can put into words how we've existed, what our patterns are, the way that shifts our heart and the way it changes our interactions with people and the way we show up in the world, it just is amazing to be able to say what's real about where you've been, where you've come from, and how you've shown up. And the thing is, everyone has fallen, right? Back to that analogy. So it's okay. Tell your story. If you don't tell your story, then are you really trying to one-up everybody? Or how else could I say that? Like if we all started going around the circle and we finally made it around, and Karen here in the front row was the last person, and she was like, I don't have anything to share. You know? You'd be like, come on, really? You don't have anything to share?
So I heard a person who came to be a speaker at Adam tell her story, like very thoroughly, the rape, the abuse, the whole, and it completely shifted my perception of her. Just completely, I was just awestruck.
So
by
you're
her.
saying for the better, it shifted you?
Yeah. Like, oh, now I understand you. The courage, she had courage coming out every pore in her body, and she was completely free. So telling your story very often is for somebody that needed to hear that.
Yeah. Also, there is an energy to how you tell your story. Have you ever been around a person who was just volunteering their story everywhere all the time? And you're just like, what are you doing? Now is not the time, you know? So that's a different way to go about it, I guess. Okay.
I'd like to share on that. And share, when you talked about the fractured masculine and the characteristics, that really resonated with me. It's like, wow, that really is a strong part of me that I need to I could look at more deeply.
Thank you for sharing that. I felt far more in tune to my sacred feminine side before I did my sacred masculine side. Wow, and it floored me that I had no clue. I was very comfortable saying, like, ooh, I know wisdom, I know her, she's amazing, and she shaped my life, and I can cry, and I can tell you about my emotions, and I can sense, and I can feel, and then when it was time to go, but it just, there was something about learning the sacred masculinity and the avoidance that kind of lives there that was very new for me in the last 9 months or so. Very new. It's like, oh, being able to hold the space, but I didn't see in the ways I wasn't holding the space for my own self. Right? But I thought I was. But holding the space and the expression are not the same thing, meaning holding the space and emoting are not the same thing. So because I'm free and I'm courageous to emote, I think I'm holding space, and it's just not the same thing. Yeah.
Can you say a little bit more about that to give an example?
Okay, the talk that I gave called the unconscious becomes conscious. You don't know what you don't know. And that's where the sacred masculine lives, is in the unknown. So it's much harder to kind of tune into that. Because like I said, I think it's why young kids tune into the darkness. They're like, what? There's something there. You know? And it's the unknown. I'm saying sacred masculine is the unknown, and sacred masculine is the thing that, it's why we can't avoid the identity piece or mystery of being human. That is the sacred masculine. I'm saying the container that holds everything is the most frightening thing in existence. If you try to hold the size of the universe in mind and think sacred masculine, the great amness holds everything, including black holes and everything else, okay? Like, we can't wrap our minds around this thing.
So when the intuition is tapping, there's the uncomfortableness, that's the feminine, and when you're willing to go into whatever the uncomfortableness is that's within the container, that's the masculine. That's what you're saying, that's the looking at the unconscious. Whatever the intuition is inviting you to look at, because there are things that it's being invited to look at, and you can like, oh, no, like, so it does become a little bit conscious. You have to be fully aware of it, because there is a tapping.
This is a difficult thing to discuss, because remember the yang and yin symbol, it's hard to tell where one begins and the other one ends.
Okay.
So we kind of just have to let it go a little bit. But whatever is unknown, if you feel like the unknown is calling, you're like, there's something here, but I don't know what it is. That's the unconscious or the subconscious. That is the unknown. That is that backdrop of existence. It's like saying, if this wall was a curtain, I would say that's the backdrop or the screen. And the projector's doing all the work. So the projector represents the feminine because it's the projection, but that wall is the thing we don't think about. Without it being there, we've got nothing, So all of that unknown stuff is the wall. It is the sacred masculine. And that's what's the scary thing, is like, what is that? And when I found that question in myself, there's something here, but I don't know what it is, and I'm just gonna have to sit with it. And it was really unnerving that all this avoidance stuff came up, which was connected to a mother wound that I had, that my mother is a very keen observer, but there comes judgment with her keen observance. And so I didn't want to be so close to someone who I felt like was closely looking. The intent was totally different, but what I saw was my mom staring down the, like.
What do you wish you would have done different?
Ooh. Well, can I just bring it to the present moment? Because I don't really wish anything about it, except I'm happy to have had the experience, and it brought me to this point, which is Ooh, what was the question? I just started this journal, so it's in the old journal. There was a question. Oh, I think it just said, I don't want to be seen. And I asked, who is this I that's speaking? Because it's not, I realized it wasn't the true me. It's the ego, or it's the shadow saying, I don't want to be seen. It's something fearful, you know? So it just changed me, and now I'm okay. Or what does that mean? It means I'm okay being seen. This person was watching me like I watch the world, and I feel pretty, you know, clear-eyed, like I sense and feel and see, and even if no one's saying a thing, I can tell you what's happening in the space oftentimes. And to feel like I was being observed in that way was whoa. And then I realized, whoa, that must be really unnerving for others if they realize that I am perceiving in this way. So it taught me to expand, like, oh, there's more to consider here. Yeah.
Like, yeah, I can relate to that, because I think that's who I am with my husband. I'm separating, and then my son is young, curious now, thank you.
Yeah, the unconscious is knocking. Yay for you.
Oh, boy.
I'm here to help, okay? If you, I mean that, like, yes, I'm here to help. Okay. So, sacred parenting is the starting place of healing. So there's this passage. Remember I said Solomon was the son of David. David wrote Psalms. And he was a musician. And he wrote, when my father and mother forsake me, then the Lord will take me up. And what you see below is the THV version. That's the Bible Redefined project that I do. When my father and mother, my most formative relationships, fail, leave, or desert me, the great I am is there. Sacred Father and Sacred Mother are there to take me in. And now we're seeing that this sacred parenting, we're swimming in it, and it is within us. And so we take up the mantle of father and mother for ourselves. Naturally, our parents hold the most important position in how we adjust to the world. This means, regardless of their positive presence in our lives or lack thereof, we have an inevitably intimate and formative connection to them. That relationship subconsciously influences how we interact with others. Though this verse focuses on the inadequacy of parents, the reality flows downstream to the inadequacy of all relationships. All relationships have a way of letting us down. People will fail to do that, which will make us feel safe, appreciated, and valued. This is why relationship to and with the great I am is the most important relationship. The great I am never fades, wavers, or fails. And we've already talked about how that is, right? It is the epitome, the great I am is the epitome of being. It is the definition of what it means to be, to exist. When we say human being, this is it. It is the core of human identity. And this brings a whole new meaning to, this one, honor your father and your mother, which is one of the 10 Commandments. What do I want to say about that? Let's see. Here's the THV translation. Honor and glorify, give abundant promotion, and return great acknowledgement to the principal and chief of origin, the original state and point of departure, which is also father and mother, sacred unity, pure selfhood, the sign, indication, and signature of beingness, the image and bond of the family. Do this so your experience of life, which the great I am, your power, is granting you, may be extended and stretched out. And the image of being extended and stretched out is just lounging, just resting. So in English, this looks like you're honoring something or someone outside of yourself, but in the language, it's bringing you home to yourself, that the Father and Mother are within, the kingdom of God is within. The great I am, the sacred feminine and the sacred masculine are within. It's another reminder of the two great sacred laws: love the Lord your God with all your heart, mind, and soul, right?
Uh-huh.
Yeah. So again, the way Sacred Mother speaks is in metaphor and signs and symbols and repetition, telling the same story a million different ways. That's all the Bible actually is. It's the same story over and over and over. Because if we rewound all the way to the beginning, Genesis 1, in the beginning God created the heavens and the earth. It's right there. It's saying, in the beginning, the Sacred One created the limitless world of vibration, energy, and light, and the limited fixed world of particle and form. It's instantly talking about masculine and feminine. Like, this is heaven and earth. This is yin and yang. This is sun and the moon, which comes next, right? It's like, let there be light. Sorry, so light and dark. And then it finally says sun and moon. It's telling the same thing in a different way. And then it moves on to say Adam and Eve. It's the same thing again. But you get to bring the story into your living experience. You start to think about, oh, Adam and Eve, this is the way it can be the way we relate to one another. But let's say there's a serpent in the garden with Adam and Eve. Okay, Adam, he is sacred consciousness or masculine. Eve, she is sacred feminine or awareness. And there's that serpent. That's the ego. In the garden. The garden translates as the enclosure of bliss. So, with pure conscious awareness, you're in bliss. But when the ego comes in, you decide to take part in something. You take the apple from the tree. You decide to take part in something that's going to fragment your sense of self, and you can't stay in the enclosure of bliss anymore. You have to leave the garden now because you're fragmented. All of this is in the book. It's there. It's difficult to see it in plain old English. But if we took this and taught it to our kids, like, this is cultural information, you know, it's the kind of thing that, it's the kind of mythos, you could say, that informs us of what it means to be human and why we're doing the things we do and how easy it is to get tripped up and how much grace there is at the same time, and we can understand each other because we understand ourselves first, and it really is not that difficult to put this stuff to work. The problem is once we leave this room and go back into the world, you have all the bullshit that you have to wrestle with, you know?
Like, I want to understand what you said about Adam and Eve and like that awareness so much, so that when I'm out in the world and this classic, like, Eve the temptress is the reason why Adam, and it's all our fault.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I can combat that and turn it in a grounded way. That's the work I want to do. That's
Yeah.
the awareness I want.
Right. The world, yeah, there's a lot of confusion. The ego is the cause of that, or the shadow self, and it is said somewhere in the ancient passages about the father of lies, and it started with the serpent. So, and the word serpent in ancient Phoenician could be translated as the whisperer of spells, coming into the ear just to bring you off just a little bit. And the thing about bringing you off is if this is alignment right here, but the serpent can get you to think off just this much, by the time you get to your destination, you've totally missed the mark, you know? So it's very subtle, and we don't always recognize it until we're almost to where we should have been, and then we look back and we go, what happened? I didn't realize I was 1 degree off, but now I'm way over here, And again, there's grace in that. Okay, so also you must know, since we're dealing with this sacred parenting thing, love is already hardwired into this experience, and it's made a way for you to do this, including the falling flat on your face. Like it really is okay. The word for sin means errors or mistakes, mistakenness. It's okay. The thing that separates us from God is the mistakenness that we have in our minds. Meaning, if you didn't know any of this information that you received today, you might not know that you and God are just like this. And since you don't know, and since you believe you and God are this, well, that's how it's going to be until you get that sorted out. This is the experience of hell. This is the experience of being judged. The judgment is your own. It's your own. It's of your own making, because you and that I amness are one and the same, and you have the power to decide how it's going to be. You have the power to decide how it's going to be. But no one said that exactly, right? No one just came out and said, you have that power. Healing breaks the silence, okay? Silence is not empty, it's full of answers. So tell the truth. The truth might be, I don't know how to do this. I feel like a failure. This kind of honesty, even if we have the knowledge, okay? You have some knowledge. That doesn't mean you know how to go out and do it, right? It's okay. Just tell the truth. This is how the wounded girl stops acting and steps into sacred femininity. This is how the wounded boy stops acting and steps into sacred masculinity. This is what we're up against, is when you leave here, you're dealing with these wounded boys and girls who are masquerading as adults, adult, mature people. So, I mean, it just is what it is. But if you center yourself and you find this, then the right people will align. They will be magnetized into your world. And I'm seeing this every day. More and more people who are ready for this conversation. They find others doing the work. So as we're stepping into the sacredness, we find others doing the work. Those who can sit in truth, and they can hold grief, and can call each other out with love. And if they do not do the work, they will keep projecting their unclaimed power onto one another and running from it, right? So it doesn't take long to realize who's not willing to do the work. You kind of drop a little something and you can see the resistance or the avoidance. It's like, okay, you're not willing to do the work, and that can be the case for now. Those of us stepping into that sacredness, we're learning love is not performance, love is presence. They realize they don't have to earn love, they don't have to fix anyone, they realize they don't have to impress anyone, they don't have to read anyone's mind. They realize they can just be present and tell the truth, especially when it's scary or uncertain. This becomes a skill, being able to tell the truth even when you're not sure of how the person may respond. And you will do your best to speak as clearly and gently as you can, and you may give them a little flag and hey, okay, I'm going to say something now, that hopefully can help them sit a little longer, right? But it's not your problem. Whatever their problem is just that, their problem. So it is an issue of courage. Again, 200 on the scale. It's an issue of courage to say what needs to be said and then let the dice fall wherever they may. We repair mistakes by owning it, taking responsibility. This is integrity that marks the healing within. And when they realize they were never too broken to be loved, just too afraid to be seen, they become unstoppable. That's especially a masculine issue there. Realizing that they were never too broken to be loved, just too afraid to be seen. They become unstoppable. Is there a feminine gendered being in the space who goes, oh, but I've also really felt this before?
Yeah,
Okay.
absolutely.
Can you repeat that sentence that you said just a few minutes ago about the broken part?
About the broken?
I don't know, what you were just reading right before you started talking.
Oh, when they realize they were never too broken to be loved, just too afraid to be seen, they become unstoppable. Healing is required to enter into the fullness of the sacred masculine and sacred feminine. Healing allows for increased capacity and spaciousness. So increased capacity and spaciousness brings us into a place where we're less taxed, or we're not so easily taxed by the multitude of things. Meaning on any given day, you just make it a whole storm of issues. And the increase in capacity and spaciousness allows us to kind of just go with the flow, even when the stressors are mounting. I'm saying healing is the way that we can regulate our nervous system. The regulation is related to the need for healing. When we experience healing, we have greater spaciousness to contain, right? Or to hold, and this is the expansive nature of the sacred masculine. Healing allows for increased capacity for wise expression and wise sensitivity to people and circumstances as the organic presence of love, which is also unattached and ready to allow things to be as they are. This is the expansive nature of the sacred feminine. Right? One is spacious with this capacity, and the other is the expression and the wisdom, knowing how to move next. And if we can have these two in balance within ourselves, we are really doing well. By really doing well, I do not mean some type of competition or some kind of assessment where you need to get a good score. It's just about being able to relate to oneself in a healthy way. We must integrate our pain and our trauma by holding that wounded child and speaking tenderly and wisely to them. So again, this is taking up that mantle of being a sacred parent to oneself. No one else can do the work. Parents are not going to do the work. Geez, that's unfortunate. That's not the best way to say that. I shouldn't say it's unfortunate, but I guess there have been times where I still wanted my mom to take responsibility. And that's my own egoic issue, that I even need that or needed that from my mom. I have to step into this sacred parenting. I have to learn to do it. And by learning to do it is like saying, allowing father and mother. When my father and my mother forsake me, the Lord will take me up. When my father and mother, my most formative relationships, fail, leave, or desert me, the great I am is there to take me in. So it's an understanding that this beingness is alive, and it is well, and it is more than pure intelligence. Like it seems it's impossible to say how great this I amness is, okay? And it is the parent for you, the perfect parent. And you are so intimately one with that what you say goes. Ooh, does that click? You are so intimately one with that what you say is what goes. However you say it is what you're going to receive or what you will get. So whatever follows I am for you is what it will be. The comfort of embrace. A mother's embrace provides a safe haven, nurturing her child with warmth and love, fostering a sense of security and connection that shapes their emotional well-being. Be the sacred embrace of the sacred parent your inner child never received. You can do this. This is your power. This is your birthright. This is your responsibility. This is, okay, let me tell you this about what this is. And, ooh, it's break time already.
Is it? Just have break.
The name, the word for Israel, our minds instantly think of a country in the world, but it comes from these ancient texts before that country ever existed, describing a group of people. They were Israelites. They were also called Hebrews. The word for Israel, it means those who are willing to contend with God, or those who are willing to wrestle with the great I am. Okay. It's fascinating, it's beautiful, it's so simple that to be a person of the family. Do you remember in one of the previous slides, the word the family was in capital letters, and I meant to point it out. I'm going to go back to it. Where was that? It's here somewhere.
Oh, yeah, there it is.
Image and bond of the family next to the last line.
Thank you. The image and bond of the family, because the family is not about a bloodline. And we've already read previously about being children of Adam. Do you remember that? And Adam means the primordial human being. I have to show you this. Okay, Son of Man means child of Adam. So, and this has become a religious title to describe Jesus. But it's being misappropriated. It's used improperly because Son of Man applied to other people in the Bible, not just Jesus. It's not a statement of some kind of special person. It is a statement of being human, Son of Man. Child of humanity is another way of saying this. Son of Man, let me zoom in, can be translated in the following multiple ways. Child or descendant of Adam, the primordial human being. Child or descendant of primordial human being. Individualized self of primordial human I amness. Individualized self of pure conscious awareness. This is you, by the way. Assimilated I amness of the only I amness, the all-powerful sacred conscious one. Individual expression of the one sacred expression. Diversity and unity, or unity and diversity. Okay. Descendant, heir, and disciple of sacred self-life energy breath, because all of those are one word in the ancient language, whose principal action is wrapped up in the birthright and responsibility to realize and repair the family name. Every human is born with this power or birthright and purpose behind them, that you are the I am in human form. You are I'm going to highlight this one, you are an assimilated I amness of the only I amness. And the I amness is the all-powerful. It is the sacred. It is the conscious. The image and the bond of our family is the I am. This is the human family. The image and bond that keeps you as the self that you are is the I am. The sacred father and mother, yin and yang, the two as one. It's how you are being. There is no other way for it to exist. There is no other way for any of this to be happening. This is the image and bond of the family. Pure consciousness and pure awareness. Remember, because I was saying we are made in the image of God is something we read in the old scriptures. It's us. This is us, and this is the education we've been missing. Instead of going off to learn 1, 2, 3s and ABCs, this is where we should start. What does it mean to be human? Who are you? And imagine what kids would do if this is where we started them. Imagine how quickly the world would change if this is where we started our future leaders. Okay, so but the point here was that you have to be the sacred embrace of that sacred parent, of the sacred parent. And there could be an S there, the sacred parents that your inner child never received. What does that look like? It looks like, trying to think of an example, but I know earlier this week I noticed a negative thought come through, and it was something that was, I was aware of it, it was uncomfortable, and I was able to speak to it gently. I didn't cast judgment on my negative thought because that is a part of myself trying to express itself. So kind of the thinking is, oh, if you have a bad thought, you should just tell it to shut up or tell it to go away or tell it we don't do that, and actually sometimes we don't do that is appropriate, but the gentle approach, if I could remember the situation I was in, I could say this better, but it's something like taking, like acknowledging it, just like, oh, I see that. Because remember we said just knowing that you're seen and that you were heard, that's the child, and the child is gonna kick and scream a little bit and do the acting out, just wants to be seen and heard. And it is so powerful how quickly that thought just relaxes and there's no more dissonance or tension anymore. If I just go, oh, I see that, and then I have to speak to it wisely, meaning I don't just say, oh, I see that, or oh, I see you. I say, I can see why you feel that. And it's okay that you feel that. And then there's a reframing that goes on as well. So now let's take that and use it positively. I wish I could find another word for positively because I don't mean anything that's fake about being positive.
Realistically?
Constructively,
That's
realistically. Thank
Or
you.
take it back to the I am. The
Take it back to the I
is
am.
putting it
Mm-hmm.
into thoughts that we want versus.
That would be a great example because I could just remind that part of myself that the I am is all the comfort we need. Something like that. But that part of me was searching outward for the comfort, or, something is off, It's like, okay, I see that, and it's okay. And I can see how you'd feel that way. And the great I am is all we need. Oh, and don't forget that we are one with the great I am. I am right here. So we're coming close to 4 already. Is it okay if we just push through to 4 o'clock? Okay. We're gonna try supernatural breathing. This is just a practice. And we're gonna do it for 7 minutes. I'm gonna start a timer. I have to show you how to do it first. The supernatural breath is a way of pulling energy up from the bottom that you're sitting on and moving it tall to the crown of the head. So if you're ever feeling like, okay, could someone tell me, where do you sometimes feel emotion? Just in your body. It may not be the same for everyone, but is there someone in the throat? Okay.
Yeah.
Ooh,
I feel it in my throat too.
interesting.
So, in my solar plexus.
You feel it in the, okay, here in the abdomen region, diaphragm. I can feel energy, also diaphragm or lower between the hips. So this exercise is a way to pull low energy and bring it high. Because no one instantly says, I feel emotion in my head. No one says that. It's always down here somewhere, So we're gonna pull it up. And as the chakras move upward, right? We have the root system, we have the sacral, we have the solar plexus, we have the spleen, we have the heart, we have the throat, we have the ajna, and we have the head, and everything moves upward. But our lowest center is where a lot of our worries and our stresses begin. Okay. So 2 practices. Supernatural breath is where we are. So how to release? The release will be by pulling it up. What you'll do is you're going to squeeze the perineum, which is the area between the hips. It sits right against the chair. So it's low. You squeeze the perineum, and when you squeeze, and I can do it as I'm speaking, and it's like a flex, you know. And when you squeeze, you begin to breathe in. The thing is the breathing will feel weird because when you squeeze, it kind of constricts the rib cage. So it should feel weird. And you're gonna feel the tension because as you breathe, you'll feel like, can I really breathe through this, you know? Most of us know about diaphragm breathing, right? Instead of chest breathing. So if we're breathing from the diaphragm, this is while you'll instantly feel the tension because you're squeezing in the area right in that diaphragm, you know. So you squeeze and you inhale, and it's going to be through the nose. So just try one. Squeeze and inhale, and hold the squeeze until you cannot inhale anymore. And then just let it go after you've held it for about a second or 2. This time, when it gets to the top, I want you to hold it for 3 seconds, okay? So go ahead. You're going to squeeze and inhale. Don't stop squeezing. Get it to the top. Hold for 3 and release. And if you don't feel your shoulders rising, maybe something's off, right? Because that squeeze, naturally, it kind of makes the body have to do something, and I think the shoulders rise. And you'll feel the tension go up, yes? And when you squeeze or you hold here, you feel the tension in the head.
Yeah.
Right? So the energy has moved. It has moved up, right? What started low now went high. Okay. There's one more thing to add. When you hold for 3 seconds, squeeze a little bit more. And now the whole system will squeeze. It won't just be the area of the perineum. It's going to be, everything is going to work together to squeeze a little tighter. Yes.
Can you model it, please?
Oh,
I'm a visual learner, so
sure.
watch.
I don't know if you'll see me squeeze or not, but.
I saw with your hands. That's what I was
Okay,
watching.
okay.
Yeah.
So I'll do that then. Sorry, squeeze. And so that 3 second hold, I don't feel like I can squeeze my perineum anymore, but kind of from here up can kind of squeeze in a little bit more. And I feel the tension build in the head.
You could see that.
Okay,
Yeah.
Awesome.
I mean,
okay. So you'll do this on your own because not everyone's going to squeeze and pull up at the same rate. So for 7 minutes, we're just going to do it. Allow whatever comes up to come up. Here's the other thing I should say. When you release, just wait. Just wait. It's okay to take a few normal breaths. It's okay to just breathe. Maybe take 2 or 3 breaths. I'll say it that way. Okay, one more. Squeeze. Breathe. And then just breathe normal for 2 or 3 breaths. And start again on your own. The timer starts now. Whatever comes up, just allow it to be. So would anyone like to share what the experience was like, or if you noticed any kind of shift, or what came up for you?
At first, I felt a lot of tension while holding my breath. And as I continued the practice, I felt like I was looking forward to the release.
Nice.
I'm ready for a nap.
Mm-hmm.
I kept releasing yawns after a while.
Me too.
I just started
Mhm.
yawning
Me too.
about
Yeah.
just before halfway in.
There are so many breathing practices, and they all work magically in their own way. This one can be really good so the pressure and the release is another way of feeling the masculine and the feminine. And your conscious choice to squeeze and to move and then to release and breathe. You could set an intention to move negative energy this way as well. Because remember, we were saying that from the lower parts come all these stressors and things, and so we can move them up. And the heart space is what kind of moves us toward courage, you know? So think about the chart where 200 was the center, and think of 200, the courage is the heart. So we're moving energy from here, we're bringing it up and above. We just repeat and repeat. So you could set the intention, whatever is bothering me, especially if you can already feel it kind of physically, or you can feel the energy of that. I'm not quite sure at the moment how to describe what the energy feels like, but you can just feel it. It's not a burning, but it's tight or, yeah. I'm trying to think of what that feels like to me. But it's just a feeling in my body, and I know when it's low, and it's not coming from a good place, you know, and I can move it up, and it allows me to kind of feel it, like, what is this really? Something is stuck in my body, and I can move it up, and I can feel it, and with each breath, I'm just releasing. I've had this breathing practice has brought me to tears before, where there was just a lot being stored inside and it needed to move. Any other thoughts or questions or? No?
Yes, I don't really like the whole, I don't like that feeling, so then I usually don't.
Yeah, which feeling exactly?
No, like
The hold at the top
tight,
or the
no, like the whole
squeeze?
process of whole squeezing.
Yeah.
Every breath that's always been that way, I've always shied away from.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting.
So I like that. It makes me think that using this, an advantage to using it could be to help you recognize the ways in which you might already just be doing it, like in a habitual way that's not healthy. Because it's one thing to choose to move in this way, but if it's the habitual thing that you're doing, that could be just worth noticing. Like, oh, I'm kind of already like that right now, you know? Why is that? Why am I holding tension in that way? Mm-hmm.
It seems like I was, like, it didn't take that long to draw the breath, you know, and come up. And then it seemed like it took a long time to blow it out. Much longer than it took to draw it in.
Is that anyone else's experience? That it took longer to do the exhale than the inhale? Okay. Yeah, I think that's true. Wow. I don't think I paid attention to it before. But I guess you wouldn't expect that,
No.
especially because the breath is so constricted. You don't feel like you're taking in that much,
Yeah.
which is fascinating.
With that, I was allowed to, exhale more, and then I could relax more, and then I felt fresh breath coming in. But, and I've said this before, when you start breathing, then you start feeling, and I start crying. So I just realized through this, how much I'm always holding.
Mm, right,
And so it's in my body that's like this, so,
right. Yeah, the opportunity to release.
yeah.
There could be a lot more there than we might realize. Like, we've created we've created tension intentionally, and then comes that release. You said you were looking forward to the release. How could that train us or set us up, in other parts of our lives where we realize we will move through the tension and it's okay? Like, the release comes. Everything moves. Emotion, energy in motion. This will pass. This discomfort will pass. And I can look forward to that release. I can preemptively, move toward the release. I can set myself up to succeed, in this way. I don't have to just hold on and grit my teeth. I can hold that intention.
It shed light that I was holding. I didn't know that. So there's burdens and stress that I'm relaxed.
I'm relaxed, yeah.
Oh, no.
I'm relaxed.
Yeah.
What do you mean? I'm not yelling. Okay, I'm going to share another document. Maybe we'll come back to meditation concentration. I want you to know this about it, though. Meditation is sacred feminine. And the word meditation, it's a bit misconstrued, but being aware of the thoughts is meditation. It is being able to note and see but not having to do anything about it. This is meditation. Concentration is when all the thoughts collapse to one. This is the true meaning of concentration. It is the goal of meditation, is to move into concentration, but in our culture, we don't think of concentration in this type of practicing way. We think concentration means multitasking, maybe, But if meditation, observing all the thoughts, is sacred feminine, then concentration, collapsing to one, must be what? Sacred masculine. Yeah. So meditation concentration is a way of saying, let's sit and observe all the thoughts. And the coolest thing about it is the supernatural breath practice that we did kind of gave us a way to kind of sense what that's like, because we're moving through, then we have a release. That's the type of meditation, moving into concentration, because you're like, okay, finally, and there's all this tension, build, and hold, and then, okay, release. So the collapse to oneness is an amazing experience. I'm trying to think of which one we should go for. I'm going to ask you for your opinion. Would you rather try the meditation concentration, or would you like to go into a different document from the ancient scripture that might just help us solidify some of the things we read at the beginning of the day about, the definitions and where she was talked about, and seeing the story told in a slightly different way?
Oh,
That one? Okay. Okay, the Pearl of Great Price. Ooh, this is a good one. It's in the book of Matthew, chapter 13. Okay, verses 45 and 46. So it typically says, again, the kingdom of heaven is like unto a merchant man seeking goodly pearls. Okay, that's the first verse here. Furthermore, the royal domain, the queendom, the fully formed extension of power and vision, the great sense of I am and I can that powers all and guides our lives and awareness toward unity of the universe of vibration, sound, and light, the sacred vibration that moves without limit through the entire manifested cosmos, extending from a center that is nowhere and everywhere. The realm of pure energy which vibrates character, light, and atmosphere, constantly reporting that nothing is separate, everything is one. The realm of sacred femininity may be compared to a journeying tradesman endeavoring to find, by thinking and meditating and reasoning and seeking, he's endeavoring to find precious pearls, the most sacred and precious teachings. Beautiful, valuable, whole, sound, and stable. Who, when he found one pearl of great price, went and sold all he had and he bought it. When the journeying tradesman detected, discovered, and recognized one extremely valuable pearl, they left, went and sold, let go of all they had, and purchased that pearl. So, what is the pearl? The royal domain, the queendom, the fully formed extension of power and vision, the great sense of I am and I can that empowers everything and brings everything toward unity of the universe. What is the pearl? It is the sacred vibration that moves without limit through the entire manifested cosmos, extending from a center that is nowhere and everywhere. Nowhere and everywhere. Because when I look at you, I'm seeing the center of it. It is nowhere and it is everywhere. The realm of pure energy, which vibrates character and light and atmosphere, constantly reporting that nothing is separate, everything is one. Because remember, one of those passages we read in the beginning said, doesn't the sacred feminine call out to everyone? She's always trying to get our attention. And this is another way of saying it. Constantly reporting through all these synchronistic things and the beauty of the mountains and northern lights and that just chance conversation. You saw a friend at the coffee shop and you ended up at, this is all how it's working together. This is her domain. This is why these beautiful things happen. And it's why it's so important to us. And we recognize and we're like, what are the odds that I ended up here on this day in this space talking to so-and-so or seeing that thing right then and there? This is how she speaks. It's not always an audible thing. It can be. It can be the voice within, But she wants you to exercise your will to follow the breadcrumbs because that's showing your devotion to the process. It's kind of showing your buy-in, Because the thing about the pearl is, well, you have to become this tradesperson who goes seeking, trying to find it, who's willing to give up everything just to find, If there's anything in this world that is more precious, then you're not worthy of this. Oof. And you are the one who's determining that. Your birthright is pure worth, but you might decide not worth it. You see? So that's back to the whole judgment. God's judgment thing. It's just your decision making.
And free will.
And free will. Yep. The realm of the sacred feminine is the pearl of great price. And this is a beautiful thing. This was the teaching of Jesus. And Solomon was the first one who wrote about this pearl that is above, it's worth more than rubies, or translated, worth more than pearls. About the virtuous woman is how Solomon writes about her. And it's a picture to say that you might be the virtuous woman as a direct reflection of the sacred feminine, and that your worth is far greater than rubies and pearls. So when Jesus taught this, then his audience, they were Semitic peoples, right, who knew the teachings of Solomon and would have made the connection. So here we are, 2,000 years later, we're largely not making the connection, We think Jesus is saying something about some far-off land that we'll get to experience after death and all of this, And just know. This is the same story told in a different way, which is why it's genius. It's exactly why it's genius. It's how I fell in love with this book, was realizing, oh, how many ways can this story be told? I'm fascinated that in a span of 4,000 years, 40 plus authors have a way of talking about the exact same thing in different ways. It's mind-blowing to me. And then I was like, this book is being so disrespected, you know? This is a book for every human and the ones that aren't in the book, right? So all of these books, geez, this is our heritage. This is human heritage. How somehow the universe is wrapped up in you and you are wrapped up in it. And how the conscious and awareness, sacred feminine and masculine, it is the thing that's happening right here and right now. And it could change everything about our lives. And again, back to courage being the lion at the heart. What it seeks to change does require courage from us. How will it change the way you speak to that person? That for decades, when you guys get together, the tone changes. We are not the best of friends. How will this change that? What is it asking you to release or let go of? How is it asking you to level up in the way you do business, or the way you deal with students you don't enjoy or like? Or, I mean, Sacred Femininity. She wants, it is her aim to bring everything into sacred alignment. Everything. And will we answer the call even once we leave this space today? Something about buying this pearl, being willing to sell everything or let go of everything to acquire this, is also reminding me of what I said earlier about taking up the cross. It's like a similar experience, like, oh, the cross could kill me. I'm gonna have to, let go. And it's not the kill me. Have you ever had an emotional experience that maybe felt like death?
Yeah.
That's a cross moment. You know what I mean? So, yeah, there's a lot more to say about carrying the cross, and dying on a cross. It's like, there's so many opportunities to die. Because I mentioned the person that for decades that quarrel has been there, that's an opportunity for you to die. The quarrel is there because you keep holding your ground instead of releasing, letting go. No harm is going to come to you by letting go, by the way. So why the guarding? What's going on? Oh, that childhood part of myself that I haven't nurtured quite yet. That's why I'm guarding still. Any questions? Thoughts? The book is full of these. So if you're like, we want more, there's plenty more that we could read. I'll tell you a favorite one that really got me on the, not only was it reading Solomon talk about hurt, wisdom, and saying all this about hurt over and over again. I was like, what is he talking about? It was when Jesus said, wisdom is justified by her children. And I was like, that's what Solomon was talking about. Why? And, just the revelation in my own life has been astounding. Like, wow. Jesus and Solomon, who knew? They were giving the same message. When Jesus said, repent for the kingdom is at hand, it means something like, return from your erroneous way of existing and realize that the sacred power that you desire is waiting for you as the sacred domain. That's the meaning behind repent, for the kingdom of God is at hand. All of that power and it's her power, by the way, fully supported by the sacred masculine consciousness. It's yours, but you can't step into that living the way you've been living, because the way you've been living, is like we said, if this was the line, but you've gone way over here, so you got to come back. Repent means to come back. Come back to your sense of self. Be united within again, masculine and feminine. And the power that's available for how you can shape your life. You want to talk about manifestation? Okay, so this is a little soapbox of mine. People want to talk about manifestation, but if we don't talk about what we've talked about today, you're not in alignment to manifest what you really desire. Meaning you'll manifest things, but it'll just be a little short every time. Or you'll end up with something that you aren't really ready to hold just yet. And things of this nature. So I really believe I believe this is probably the most important teaching that there is. It's about the balance of the masculine and feminine, and how whatever it is, I define true success as true fulfillment and true satisfaction. And without this, I don't think true fulfillment and true satisfaction is a possibility. Because we're forever reaching outside of us without the sense of self-knowing. Mm-hmm.
Will you say again what the definition of repent is exactly?
It means to come back,
Come back.
or to return to a state of origin, or yes, return to the original place of departure is a way of saying, because remember, there's the beginningness when God said, let there be light. Everything was as one at that point, and we arise out of this sacred unity, which the universe is reminding us of. Uni in verse. It's like saying the multi-part song. Okay, the universe, return to your deep-seated sense of self. All right. Well, if there's nothing else, no other questions,
I'd like to say thank you.
you're so welcome.
Yeah, thank you.
You're so welcome. Thank you for being here.